Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am with another one of these 90s home video Goosebumps episode reviews. And now, next up, this is going to be a review for Night of the Living Dummy 3. So yeah, so of course, like, when you talk about Goosebumps, of course, like, one of the monsters that you're always going to think of is Slappy the Dummy. Yeah. So so of course, like Slappy is like he's quite possibly the most popular monster in the entire Goosebumps series. I mean, yeah, Slappy is like the a character that'll come to everybody's mind when they think of Goosebumps. So yeah, so Slappy has definitely left like a really big impact on Goosebumps. I mean, Slappy's kind of like been looked at as kind of like the unofficial face of the Goosebumps series. Yeah, and of course, like the Night of the Living Dummy books are like probably like some of the most well-known stories in the entire Goosebumps series as well. Yeah, and yes, and this one, this is definitely like a really good episode too. Like I really do like this story, and I just really do like how like it really is like kind of like very mysterious like in the beginning. So of course, like this episode was based on the 40th book in the Goosebumps series. Though, yeah, what I find like kind of strange about this is that, like, of course, like Night of the Living Dummy 3. This is the third Night of the Living Dummy story. So I did like find it kind of weird how they like released this, but yeah, they didn't like release it, like the ones before. Like they just like jumped right into it, on these like home video episodes with this one, Night of the Living Dummy 3. Like, of course, the like on the in the books, like there were like five Slappy stories that were written in the books. There was of course like the uh Night of the Living Dummy trilogy during like the original books. Looks there was Night of the Living Dummy, Night of the Living Dummy 2, and Night of the Living Dummy 3. Yeah. And then R.L. Stein picked it up again while he was doing the Series 2000 books. Like there was the Bride of the Living Dummy book, and there was also like the one Slappy's Nightmare, which is probably one that will kind of like not really be really thought of. Like I didn't even like know this one existed until just like recently. So yeah, even I didn't know about Slappy's Nightmare being part of the series. So there were five books in the books about like Slappy, but yeah, there were only like three episodes of the show with him. Like I've talked before how like there was no episode based on like the first Night of the Living Dummy book, but yeah, they did episodes for Night of the Living Dummy 2, this one, Night of the Living Dummy 3, and Bride of the Living Dummy. So yeah, so there were only three episodes that had Slappy in them. Yeah. So I've like I said, I talked before how like they didn't have like an episode for the first one, which I'm really not too sure why they didn't like do it for the first one and they just jumped right to the second one, for Slappy's first episode. So I'm not really too sure why they did that. Yeah, but of course, like with like there not being like an episode based on the first Night of the Living Dummy book, of course, like they couldn't have done it. Like they couldn't have like a Night of the Living Dummy episode for a home video. Yeah, but yeah, there was like one for the second story. So wouldn't you think that like since like in these this series of like episodes that were released on home video back in the 90s, like they at least like did like the Haunted Mask and the Haunted Mask 2, wouldn't you think that they would at least like release like Night of the Living Dummy 2 before like releasing this one? But they didn't. They just jumped right to this one, which I found was like kind of strange that they did it. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, talking about this episode, yeah, overall, I do like it. I mean, yeah, when you do like watch like one of these episodes with Slappy, like it's not really gonna be bad. Like, yeah, when you are like seeing Slappy, you know, like just if you do know Goosebumps, you know basically like what you're in store for. Yeah, each story that has Slappy like Night Living Dummy, yeah, it's really just like it really kind of just like have the same setup where like Slappy is uh, brought in like to a family, yeah, and then like he eventually like ends up like coming to life. Like he's brought to life by like a spell that it comes from a card that he has on him. Yeah, and basically, like how it's known to be is that everything is like really mysterious at first with Slappy. Like just there's stuff going on, but nobody like really does know like why that stuff is happening. But and then it is like eventually like a reveal that Slappy is actually alive. And yeah, basically like in these episodes, like the kids really do like have to like stop Slappy, and he Slappy does end up being destroyed at the end of uh, every story. So yeah, so and like I was talking about like when I was like doing the video about like the questionable pop points about how Slappy, how is he really able to always bring himself back when he's destroyed at the end of every episode. Yeah, I'm not really sure like how he is able to do that. I mean, you know, like I was talking about before, like it's like explain a little bit in like the Bride Living Dummy episode how Slappy's evil spirit could never be destroyed. So yeah, so I did like kind of like come up with like some theories on how Slappy was able to do that. But yeah, like I said, I'm just like I'm not too sure how he really is able to do that every time after he's destroyed. Yeah, but regardless, yeah. So this was a Slappy's, of course, his second appearance in the Goosebumps show, and yeah, and of the at least of like the three uh, episodes with Slappy, like with Night Living Dummy 2, this one, and Bride Living Dummy, I think this one is probably my favorite of the three because I mean, just it really does seem to be like the darkest and most mysterious of the three because yeah, with Night Living Dummy 2, in that episode, like, there's nothing really like that's really mysterious or even that uh, dark about it. Like, it is basically just how Slappy is brought to life in the beginning, and just like throughout the episode, like, it really is just how he's just like doing like all this stuff. Like, he's talking on his own while like the girl that like owns him in that one is doing like ventriloquist acts and everything, and then yeah, then just like Slappy ends up like saying stuff on his own, and of course like the girl is like blamed for it. So yes, it's really just like consisting of that throughout the episode, where Slappy is like causing stuff, and the girl that owns him is like really just blamed for it. All right, and then yeah, then it's just like revealed at the end how Slappy is alive, and then he just ends up like being destroyed. So nothing really too mysterious about it, yeah. And then in Bride of the Living Dummy, like there's not really anything goes on in there that episode that is really like that mysterious about it, or even like anything that creepy about it either. Like all that one is really about is how just Slappy ends up like falling in love, and he does want to marry Harry. So yeah, so it's not really about like how Slappy is like wanting to like make anybody a slave or anything. Well, technically there is, but yeah, but that's not really like the focus of that story. Yeah. Yeah. So there's nothing really like too mysterious or dark about the other two episodes, but with this one, this really does seem to be like more mysterious and dark because in the in this episode, Slappy is taken in by another family, and yeah, and I guess like something else I should like talk about is that is something that I kind of like do like about these Night Living Dummy stories. How just Slappy is always like taken in by a different family, so it really does make sense on like how he like comes to life, and the families are like freaked out by it and stuff. Like it's not they don't like do it where like it's like the same family that owns him in every story, and he just ends up like coming back to life every time just to do the same thing over again with the same people. So I do like how like they always like give Slappy like a different family. So yeah, so if you are like gonna do sequels like this is like a nice way to do it. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, in this one, like the premise of this story is how like I said, Slappy is like brought in by a new family, and yeah, then like and it's like there's like it's a family of four, which includes two siblings, and the father in this episode, he's like is a former ventriloquist, so he has like a whole bunch of dummies, and Slappy ends up like just joining the bunch, but yeah, and and then and the family is in store for like a visit from the kid's cousin for the weekend, and so then yeah, and like the kids kind of like have a history of like always pulling pranks on the cousin. So yeah. So as a result of that, like just there's a lot of stuff that has been going on that goes on over the weekend that the kids are like really like blamed for doing, and then there's like kind of like a nice twist on in this story where like you really do think that it is like Slappy causing it, but yeah, you realize that like in like basically the first half of the story, it's not actually Slappy who's like behind this, and then it's also like an uh, clever how like just it's not really revealed that Slappy is really alive until like pretty much the halfway point in this episode. So I kind of do like how it really does like a just really build up Slappy actually like being alive, and then yeah, and even like when the kids then like they like discover that Slappy is really alive. It really is done very well. How just like the kids are like really like kind of like scared about it before like they do actually like uh, figure out that Slappy really is alive. Just how they're questioning how Slappy was able to like do certain things, and then it is like finally revealed that Slappy really is alive, and I just feel that it is done really well. Yeah. Another reason I really do feel that this one's probably my favorite of the three stories is that yeah, in this episode like it is shown that Slappy does have like powers. Like in the other two episodes, like it's never like ever shown how Slappy really does like have any other powers. It's just like shown that like his spirit can't be destroyed. But in this one, like it is shown that Slappy actually does have like some powers. Like in this episode, it's shown that like how Slappy has like this like magical breath that can like bring other dummies to life, and he also does have the power to like turn people into dummies. So yeah, so it really is like a is like does make Slappy like pretty like scary in this episode when you do like see the powers that he has to do. So yeah, so yeah, so it is like very like a creepy and dark and mysterious, just like throughout the entire episode. So yeah, so I do think that this is probably like of the three episodes at least, this is like the darkest one with Slappy. So yeah, so yeah, I can really just like go on, just like kind of like go on about like the stuff that I really do like about this episode, and just like the stuff regarding Slappy and just his impact on Goosebumps for like quite a while. But yeah, I don't really think that I will like really like go on to really talk about this some more because this video will probably last like an hour if I do. But yeah, so just to like sum it up, I guess what I am trying to say is that just yeah, it is like coming down to like what I've like been talking about with like if you're like into like darker stories and just like stuff that's more mysterious, and if you really just are in like if you do like those kinds of stories ease in Goosebumps, then yeah, this is another good one to check out. So so I guess I'll just like start talking about the episode. All right. So the episode opens up with an introduction from R.L. Stein once again, and yeah, it shows that R.L. Stein is like doing this introduction with like a dummy R.L. Stein, and they were just like talking and with each other while giving the introduction. And yeah, R.L. Stein was like just saying how today's story is about an evil dummy that comes to life, and the dummy was just like saying what a crazy idea to it. So yeah, so it was really just like R.L. Stein and the dummy just talking as they were giving the introduction. Yeah, and then when the episode like yeah actually started, yeah, it just like opened up like on like during the night, like it shows that like one of the kids in this episode, Trina, it just showed her lying in bed, but it also showed that like there was like somebody like in a dark cloak like walking up the stairs in the house with a trunk. And then when Trina could like hear some noises, she went to check it out, and then she went up to the attic, and it showed that like there were just like a whole bunch of dummies in the attic, and then Trina then and like saw like her dad's favorite dummy Rocky talking to her. And then yeah, Trina at first like assumed that it was her brother Daniel, but then Daniel then appeared from behind her. So initially like a Trina was thinking that Rocky was actually alive, but then Trina and Daniel then realized that well yeah they figured out that it was just their dad controlling Rocky. he and then yeah, then when it was revealed that it was their dad, when they like discovered that, then the dad then showed them like the new dummy that he brought home, which was in the case, and it was revealed to be Slappy, and it showed that, and yeah, Slappy like had like his right eye like broken off like when he first got him. Yeah, then when the mom then came up like they then told the kids that their cousin Zane would be visiting for the weekend. Yeah, and like I was talking about before, like Trina and Daniel did like have a history of like pulling pranks on Zane, including like the last time Zane visited the house. Trina and Daniel, like just as he was sleeping, they put him like out in a field with a cow, which like scared him to death, and him just like running away in fear, which that was a pretty funny prank. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, the parents just made Trina and Daniel promise not to pull any tricks on Zane over the weekend, which they did. Promise. Then they then like saw that like Slappy had his card on him, and of course like this is the card that always brings Slappy to life. The card like has a spell that read that reads Karu Marie Odana Loma Molyneux Carano. Yeah, yeah, and then as the dad then like just attempted to glue the piece of Slappy's eye back onto his face, then like after the dad then left, it then like showed like there was like this green line that was forming around the crack in Slappy's eyes to like really like just repair it like for real. Yeah. And then the following morning, then Zane arrived at the house, and yeah, and in this episode, Zane was actually played by Hayden Christensen. Yes, this is the same Hayden Christensen that played Anakin in Attack the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, so of course, like like when this episode like came out, I didn't like know it at the time. Obviously, this was before those movies, but yeah, I realized it like years later. And yeah, I just like find it kind of like interesting to see like Hayden Christensen as a kid. Yeah, yeah. And say what you will about like Hayden Christensen in Attack the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, he's gotten a lot of hate for like the corny dialogue that he's given. But yeah, I honestly do think that he does a pretty good job in this episode. Like Zane is like a very like timid kid. Like he like really does have like fears of a lot of stuff. And in this episode, like whenever it shows like him getting like scared, he I think that Hayden Christensen does do a pretty good job in this episode. Like when you see like his like face, just like how scared he is, he does a really good job at looking scared. As far as his freakouts go, I think that's probably something that people are either gonna love or hate because I mean like I said, he does do a pretty good job of being scared, but I don't know. His freakouts can like kind of seem like kind of over the top, especially like when the first time like we do like see him scared. Well, not with the cow stuff that was just talking about, but yeah, when we like do first see him like get scared like during this visit, that does kind of like get over the top. But yeah, yeah, but still, like, just he does do a really good job being scared, and yeah, and just yeah, I think this really does show that Hayden Christensen is actually a good actor. I mean, you don't really like blame him for the corny dialogue that he was given in Star Wars. Like, just yeah, like just when you see like his face, because he did do a really good job at just looking very angry and evil in Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, so he does actually do a really good job at acting when he's not given like corny dialogue, and even then, that's not his fault. Yeah, but yeah, Hayden Christensen does do pretty good in this episode. Yeah, but okay, yeah, moving on. Yeah, so yeah, so first, like it showed how like Trina and Daniel really just like they were like trying to really be as good with Zane as they could, but yeah, it showed that like just how yeah their relationship really like wasn't the best in the world. Yeah, and then when Zane like told Trina and Daniel that he was now a photographer and he like carried around a camera with him, like he started like taking some pictures of Trina and Daniel. But then, like when Zane saw Slappy, he got scared. Heard about it, yeah, and then like Zane just said how he hates dummies. No, it's not really um explain why Zane has this like supposed fear of dummies. I say supposed because it's like something that we do find out later on in the episode. So yeah, but yeah, I guess like it's implying that just Zane is kind of like a scared of ventriloquism because he really does think that the dummies are alive or something. Yeah, it's not really like explained why, but yeah, I guess this is just like something that we're just that is implied because of like something that we do find out later on. Yeah, and then yeah, then that night as Zane was in bed, then and Zane like saw in his room like what appeared to be like something that I guess like was kind of like resembling Jason Voorhees because it showed that like was wearing a hockey mask, and then Zane started freaking out, hitting in the hitting the Jason Voorhees he's a mannequin with like his pillow, and yeah, feathers just like started going everywhere. And then when the parents Trina and Daniel then came in to like see what was the problem, then it was like shown that it was only Rocky wearing a hockey mask that belonged to Daniel. And so then yeah, then of course the parents then like of course like suspected either Trina or Daniel of pulling this prank on Zane. And so yeah, so the parents both got after Trina and Daniel, but uh, both Trina and Daniel were just like saying that they didn't do this. And so yeah, as a result of like neither of them coming forward saying that they did it, yeah, both of them ended up like getting punished for it. And so yeah, they were then just yeah, the parents then just made them clean up the mess, and yeah, then the next day they were just like doing a whole bunch of housework. Like, yeah, yeah, and then yeah, Zane then like later on was a like a yeah, Zane was then like developing his pictures later on, and Trina and Daniel went up with him to like just to see how it was done. And then as Zane was developing the pictures, then like he noticed that like the the pictures were like a kind of a silly, like it just showed like a bunch of like silly stuff in like his pictures, yeah. And so then yeah, he of course like was just like thinking that Trina and Daniel did it. And yeah, then later on the dad then just like felt that because of like just how scared like Zane is always is, that he just needed a confidence boost. So then yeah. So then, like, the dad was kind of like just trying to give Zane a pep talk, just saying like how ventriloquism has been going on for hundreds of years, and dummies are only supposed to entertain people. Just trying to like show him that there's nothing scary about a dummy. Yeah, yeah. And then and it like showed how Slappy's leg ended up hitting Zane, and yeah, Zane then just was saying how Slappy kicked him, but yeah, nobody like really yeah, everybody just thought that it was Zane was just being silly, really, because yeah, the dad just said like it wasn't possible for Slappy to kick him. Yeah, so then yeah, then the mom then just just told the dad just to just forget about the dummies, and so then yeah, as they then were went to dinner, like it just showed like there was a mess just like all over the table with like a corn on the candlesticks, and yeah, there was just like carrots all over the table and everything. And the parents once again suspected either Trina or Daniel of doing it. And yeah, it even showed how like their pot roast ended up being messed with too. Yeah. So then, as a result of just like everything that's been going on, Trina and Daniel were like suspected of it. The dad then just taped up all his dummies in a box so Trina and Daniel couldn't get to them, and also as a so due to like everything that had happened with Trina and Daniel being suspected of it, and neither of them coming forward saying that they did it, the dad also forbid both of them from going to camp that summer, which was what they were wanting to do. Yeah. And then yeah, then later that night as Trina was in bed, she once again like heard some noises coming up from the attic, and yeah, then when Trina went up to the attic, she eventually found Daniel hiding in there. So yeah, at that point, like she of course like came to the conclusion that Daniel was the one that was messing with the dummies. But Daniel said that he had been hiding up in the attic all night to see who was messing with the dummies. And with Trina coming up there, he came to the conclusion that she was the one that was messing with the dummies. But then, yeah, then as they were like bickering over it, then they then like saw Zane coming up into the attic. Again, as they were hiding behind a couch, they then like discovered that Zane was the one that was like behind everything, and Zane was messing with the dummies and pulling all these pranks as an act of revenge for what Trina and Daniel had did to him before. Yeah, but then Trina and Daniel then then like caught Zane and were just chasing him downstairs. But it was revealed that Slappy had like gotten out of the box somehow, and then Slappy then decided to show Zane how the pros pull pranks. Yeah, but yeah, Slappy also said that he hates to work alone. So then he brought Rocky to life by like blowing like some of his breath into Slappy's nose. I mean into Rocky's nose, which brought him to life. So yeah, so Rocky was pretty much like a Slappy's sidekick at this point. Yeah. Then the following day, like as Zane was doing some yard work, he apologized to Trina and Daniel for everything that he did to them. And then the three of them made amends. So that night, the parents then went out, and then as uh, Trina, Daniel, and Zane were just like upstairs. Like Trina then eventually saw that like there were a couple dummies that were like on the one of the ceiling fans, and so then Trina and Daniel then of course like suspected Zane of doing some more stuff with the dummy, but Zane just swore that he didn't do it. And then they also saw like another dummy that was like just like stuffed inside like one of those like big plastic bottles that are for like water dispensers. Answers, yeah. Then they just then saw Slappy appearing just sitting on top of the table. Yeah. And so then yes, then the kids were like really starting to question like how Slappy was able to do that, like how he was gone on the table when he wasn't there just a minute ago. And then Zane then was just like starting to suspect that Trina and Daniel were pulling something on him and but yeah, and then as they were like just really thinking over like what has happened with like a Slappy kicking Zane and how Slappy just were able to get there. They were then like starting to like suspect that Slappy may be alive, but yeah, Zane didn't was just like trying to prove that he wasn't alive. He was like starting to talk to Slappy and just like telling Slappy to just say stuff to him and call him names, and then he was telling Slappy to kick him again. And Slappy at first didn't do anything, but then once Zane let his guard down, Slappy then kicked Zane. Yeah, so then at that point, then that's when the kids like realized that Slappy really was alive. And then Slappy chased the kids into another room, but then the kids then were able to fight off Slappy by luring him to a recliner chair and then letting the recliner up, launching him in the air. And then they were like able to get Slappy back into his case and lock him inside. And then they ended up just throwing Slappy's case down a well. Yeah. Yeah, and then after that, all the kids end up going to bed. But then later on that night, then Slappy then appeared in Trina's room, and then there was like kind of a funny bit where like Slappy ended up coughing up a frog, and then he actually like gave the line "frog in my throat." So yeah, a literal expression "frog in his throat." Yeah, yeah, and then Daniel then and arrived. And then, Trina just told us Daniel that Slappy had come back. But then they saw that like Slappy was no longer in the room, but they saw that like a trail of Slappy's footprints leading up the wall into like one of the into an air vent. And they realized Slappy went into Zane's room, and then we're showing how Slappy ended up blowing his breath into Zane's nose, and then Trina and Daniel were able to break into Zane's room, and it was like shown that inside there was Slappy, Rocky, and just some other dummies there. And then Slappy then showed Trina and Daniel that he turned Zane into a dummy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Slappy just told Trina and Daniel that if they try telling anybody about this, that he'll turn them into dummies as well. And so then Daniel was just like so freaked out by all of this that he ended up running off. But Trina then just like told Daniel that they have to work together to find a way to defeat Slappy. Yeah, and then they tried to think of a weakness that Slappy could possibly have, and then they then like remembered about the card that that they read, and they uh, then they figured out that like the card, like the words on the card were like a spell that ended up bringing Slappy to life, and so then they were thinking, so they came to the conclusion that like they may be able to reverse it by reading the card backwards. So yeah, so then Trina and Daniel went back out to the well to retrieve the case because the night they uh, Trina read the card, she ended up just throwing it in the case. So they attempted to retrieve it because the card could still be in there. Yeah, but they then did retrieve the case, but they saw that the card wasn't in there, so they realized that Slappy had the card. Yeah, so then they went up to the attic where all the dummies were, and they saw that just the dummies just were like not moving at all. Like Trina thought they may be sleeping, so yeah. As the Slappy was sitting on a chair, she sent Daniel to try to retrieve the card. So Daniel was slowly approaching Slappy, and as he was like about to retrieve the card, Slappy stopped him. And then yeah, then when Slappy was then about to turn Daniel into a dummy, Trina was able to kick Slappy away before he could do it. Then they eventually ended up getting the card, and then they read the spell backwards, and then that seemed to like we were like seemed to believe that that would have worked because yeah, Slappy and Rocky then just like collapsed. Yeah, but then yeah, then it was then revealed that Slappy was just tricking them. Yeah, and then, yeah, then Slappy was just telling Trina and Daniel how they're now his slaves and will do whatever he says for the rest of their lives. It was just like Rocky, and as Rocky was just as a Slappy was telling Rocky to teach Trina and Daniel a lesson, Trina then was just trying to reason with Rocky. She was just telling Rocky how he was always their dad's favorite, and they would never call Rocky a slave. Even Rocky was part of their family. Yeah, but then yeah, Slappy then just told Rocky that Slappy is the reason that he has life. So he was just asking Slappy who Rocky was really going to listen to. Well, Slappy was asking Rocky who he was going to listen to. Yeah. And then it appeared that he was like still like with Slappy, but then yeah, then there was the swerve where like just Rocky ended up then just attacking Slappy. Yeah, then Slappy was like trying to fight back. Then Rocky then eventually like just picked Slappy up and threw him out the window. And Slappy was like holding onto the edge of the roof at first, and then he was just saying that he was invincible. But then Slappy ended up getting struck by lightning, and then he blew up and was destroyed. And then when Slappy was destroyed, Rocky like just was no longer alive, and Zane was returned to normal. Supposedly, I say supposedly because of something that I will talk about in just a minute. Yeah, but yeah, just like on a side note, just for a minute, yeah, something that like was kind of interesting about this whole thing with like a Rocky turning on Slappy right here. Yeah, this would kind of supposedly continue it was kind of like implied that Slappy did get revenge on Rocky for this because in the Bride Living Dummy episode, like it was shown at one point how there were like a couple of of dummies that were just like totally destroyed. And one of them appeared to be Rocky, and so yeah, so I guess like this is kind of like hinting that Slappy may have gotten like revenge on Rocky for this, but yeah, there was no like official confirmation of this. Yeah. Yeah, but then yeah, so then the next day, then yeah, Zane's dad picked him up to take him home. Yeah, then after like a Zane said goodbye to Trina and Daniel, and as Trina and Daniel were saying that they really did like having Zane around. Yeah, as Zane was like walking out to the car, or he then just like stopped, and Zane's head like just completely turned around looking at Trina and Daniel, and he just told them that he'll be seeing them real soon, and then his head just like turned around again. So yeah, so yeah, this is why I was saying supposedly return to normal, because is Zane still part dummy from this? That's because I mean, what was that actually symbolizing? I mean, is this another thing where like Slappy's spirit couldn't be destroyed? I mean, was Slappy possibly living on inside of Zane? So yeah, nothing. There was no like explanation like given about this. Like it just this was how it ended with Zane's head turning like completely. But yeah, there was no explanation given for this. Yeah, just yeah, has Zane and like just drove off. Like you just like saw Trina and Daniel just looking on in shock and disbelief. Yeah, yeah. And then then it cut back to R.L. Stein and the dummy just saying that this was a story that was sure to turn some heads and there was a good twist in the ending. Yeah. And then R.L. Stein then just said like for everyone to have a good night. But then his arms were lifted by some strings and there was this like mysterious voice just saying, "Have a scary night." And the dummy was laughing about it. Yeah. And so and then that's how it ended. Yeah. So like I said, I this is probably my favorite Night of the Living Dummy episode or episode with Slappy. Yeah, it does seem to be the most mysterious and dark of the three, and and I just and I just really do think that like it really does like have like it really does is like the most dark with Slappy. Like Slappy is probably like the creepiest in this one as in all the episodes out of all the episodes. So so if you this like I was saying, this really does come down to like if you really are like into like the mysterious darker Goosebumps stories, then this is one of those to check out because this really is just a dark and mysterious and very creepy episode with Slappy. Yeah, so so this is really probably my pick for the best Goosebumps episode with Slappy. So this is definitely like a very good one to check out, and probably the darkest of the three episodes that do feature Slappy in the show. All right, So so I guess this is all I can really say about it. All right, so this does it for my review of Night of the Living Dummy 3. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. And now we are now approaching the big ones because I've now gone through like all of the ones like the I've now gotten through like the all the ones in the series except for like the two big ones now. Halloween weekend is now finally upon us. So next up now I'm going to be getting to the two big ones with the two Haunted Mask episodes. So now the Haunted Mask and the Haunted Mask 2 are going to be coming up next in these are reviews to finish off these reviews. So stay tuned for my reviews of the two Haunted Mask episodes coming up next. All right, but I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.